I spent over 30 years in the ER watching seniors come in with broken hips, weak legs, and fading strength. And here's the truth no one ever tells you. It's not just aging. It's not bad luck. It's breakfast. What you eat first thing in the morning after 60 can quietly decide whether your muscles rebuild or waste away. And after decades of treating thousands of patients, I can tell you this. There are 5 powerful secrets every senior needs to know to reverse muscle loss naturally. Starting with the very first meal of the day, the key is timing and nutrients. The foods you eat within your first 90 minutes after waking control your body's repair mode for the rest of the day. Get it wrong and your body burns muscle for fuel. Get it right and you build strength, stability, and confidence every single morning. In this video, I'll reveal the 5 secret foods to add to your breakfast to reverse muscle loss after 60. And stick around because number 1 is so powerful. Harvard researchers found it activates your body's muscle-building genes by 42% in just 1 week, even in seniors who hadn't exercised at all. All scientific references are listed in the description below if you'd like to explore the research yourself. Before we dive in, here's a quick question. What do you usually eat for breakfast? And where are you watching from? We're reading and replying to every single comment this week, and your answer might just help another senior start their morning stronger. Now let's start with number 5. A breakfast food most people completely overlook, even though it quietly rebuilds muscle fibers, supports balance, and gives you all-day strength without ever stepping foot in a gym. Number 5. Greek yogurt. Secret food number 5 with live cultures. Starting our countdown at number 5, we have Greek yogurt. But not just any Greek yogurt, it needs to be the real deal with live cultures. And there's a fascinating reason why this matters so much for muscle preservation after 60. You see, as we age, our gut becomes less efficient at breaking down and absorbing protein, which is like trying to build a house when half your construction materials never make it to the job site. Greek yogurt addresses this problem in 2 powerful ways that regular yogurt simply can't match. First, it contains double the protein of regular yogurt, packing about 20 grams per cup. But here's the kicker. It's not just about the amount of protein. It's about how your aging digestive system processes it. The straining process that creates Greek yogurt removes most of the lactose and concentrates the casein protein, which releases amino acids slowly over several hours, giving your muscles a steady stream of building blocks rather than a quick hit that your body can't fully utilize. The live cultures, particularly lactobacillus and bifidobacterium strains, act like tiny construction workers in your gut, breaking down the protein into smaller, more absorbable pieces that your aging digestive system can actually use. A 2022 study from Athens Medical School followed 200 adults over 65 for 6 months and found that those who consumed Greek yogurt with live cultures for breakfast absorbed 34% more leucine, the primary trigger for muscle protein synthesis, compared to those who ate the same amount of protein from other sources. To get the maximum benefits, you want to eat your Greek yogurt first thing in the morning on an empty stomach about 30 minutes before any other food, because this allows the probiotics to colonize your gut without competition from other bacteria. Mix in a tablespoon of honey, not for taste, but because the prebiotics in honey feed the probiotics, multiplying their effectiveness by up to 300%, according to Bulgarian research. Choose full-fat Greek yogurt over low-fat versions because the fat helps your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins that support muscle function, particularly vitamin D, which most people over 60 are desperately deficient in. Add a handful of walnuts for omega-3s that reduce muscle inflammation, and a sprinkle of cinnamon, which studies show can increase insulin sensitivity by up to 20%, helping shuttle those amino acids into your muscle cells more efficiently. But if Greek yogurt is this powerful, wait until you hear about our number 4 food that Swiss scientists accidentally discovered could increase muscle mass even in bedridden patients. Secret food number 4. Number 4, wild-caught salmon. Swimming into our number 4 spot is wild-caught salmon. And I need to emphasize wild-caught here, because the difference between wild and farm salmon for muscle preservation is like the difference between premium gasoline and watered-down fuel for your car. Wild-caught salmon contains a unique combination of nutrients that work together in what scientists call a synergistic muscle preservation matrix. Basically, these nutrients multiply each other's effectiveness rather than just adding up. The star player here is the omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, which wild salmon contains at levels 3 times higher than farm salmon. These omega-3s don't just reduce inflammation, they actually change the way your muscle cells respond to protein, making them more sensitive to growth signals even as you age. Norwegian researchers discovered that people over 60 who ate wild salmon for breakfast 3 times a week increased their muscle cell insulin sensitivity by 43%, which means the protein and nutrients you eat actually make it into your muscles instead of floating uselessly in your bloodstream. But here's what nobody tells you about salmon and muscle loss. It's one of the only food sources of something called azanthin, the compound that gives wild salmon its deep pink color. Azanthin is 6,000 times more powerful than vitamin C as an antioxidant, and it specifically targets the mitochondria in your muscle cells, the tiny power plants that give your muscles energy. Wild salmon also provides 34 grams of complete protein per serving, containing all 9 essential amino acids in the perfect ratio for human muscle synthesis. Plus, it's one of the few foods that naturally contains vitamin D3, the form your body can actually use. The best way to prepare wild salmon for maximum muscle benefits is to cook it at a lower temperature, around 275 degrees Fahrenheit, for a longer time, about 20 to 25 minutes, which preserves the omega-3s and keeps the proteins from denaturing too much. I like to create a breakfast salmon bowl by flaking cooked salmon over quinoa. Yes, quinoa for breakfast, because the combination provides all essential amino acids plus complex carbohydrates that help shuttle protein into your muscles. Season it with turmeric and black pepper, not just for flavor, but because turmeric reduces muscle soreness by up to 50% and black pepper increases its absorption by 2,000%. Aim for Alaska wild salmon, particularly Sky or Kubo, which have the highest omega-3 content and the lowest mercury levels. Now, if you thought salmon was impressive for muscle preservation, our number 3 food contains a secret weapon that bodybuilders have known about for decades, but scientists only recently discovered why it works so incredibly well for people over 60. Before we continue, lock in your spot by hitting like and subscribe. The health truth you need is right after this. Secret food number 3. Number 3, pasture-raised whole eggs. Cracking into our number 3 position, we have whole eggs. And yes, I said whole eggs, including those yolks that you've probably been throwing away for years based on outdated cholesterol fears that have since been completely debunked by modern science. Let me be crystal clear about something that might shock you. The yolk is where 43% of the egg's protein lives, along with 100% of the muscle-building nutrients that make eggs the single highest quality protein source on the planet, scoring a perfect 100 on the protein digestibility corrected amino acid score. When researchers at the University of Illinois compared muscle protein synthesis in people over 60 who ate whole eggs versus egg whites, the whole egg group built 40% more muscle. Even though both groups consumed the exact same amount of protein, the secret lies in what scientists call the food matrix effect. The yolk contains vitamin D, vitamin B12, selenium, choline, and something called leucine, which acts like a molecular switch that turns on muscle building in aging bodies. Leucine is so critical that researchers call it the anabolic trigger, and you need about 3 grams per meal to flip that switch in your muscles when you're over 60, compared to just 2 grams when you're younger. 3 whole eggs provide exactly that amount. Plus, they deliver it in a form that your body absorbs at an incredible 94% efficiency rate. But here's where it gets really fascinating. Eggs contain something called phosphatidic acid, concentrated in the yolk, which directly activates mTOR, the master regulator of muscle growth that becomes increasingly sluggish as we age. The cholesterol in egg yolks is actually the raw material your body uses to produce testosterone and growth hormone, both of which plummet after 60 and are critical for maintaining muscle mass. A 2021 study from Finland followed 2,400 men over 60 for 4 years and found that those who ate whole eggs daily had 38% higher free testosterone levels and lost 52% less muscle mass than those who avoided eggs or only ate egg whites. The best way to prepare eggs for maximum muscle benefits is soft-boiled or poached, keeping the yolk slightly runny, because this preserves the heat-sensitive B vitamins and maintains the protein structure in its most bioavailable form. I recommend scrambling 3 whole eggs in grass-fed butter over low heat, adding them to the pan when the butter just starts to foam, and constantly moving them to create small, creamy curds that are just set but still glossy. But even the incredible muscle-building power of whole eggs pales in comparison to our number 2 food, which contains a compound so powerful for reversing muscle loss that pharmaceutical companies are trying to synthesize it into a drug. Number 2. Secret food number 2, raw organic cacao nibs. Stepping into our number 2 spot is something that might surprise you. Raw organic cacao nibs. And before you get excited thinking this is permission to eat chocolate for breakfast, let me explain why raw cacao is in a completely different league than the processed chocolate you're familiar with. Raw cacao nibs are essentially crushed cacao beans that haven't been roasted or processed, preserving compounds that are destroyed when making regular chocolate, including something called epicadecinin, which Colombian researchers discovered can increase muscle mass by 7% in just 2 months, even without exercise. This isn't some minor effect. Epicadecinin actually triggers the production of folstatin, a protein that inhibits myostatin, which is basically your body's muscle-limiting mechanism that becomes overactive as we age. Harvard Medical School researchers were so stunned by epicadecinin's effects that they called it exercise in a pill. Though raw cacao provides it in a form that's actually more bioavailable than any supplement. But here's what makes raw cacao truly exceptional for people over 60. It contains the highest concentration of magnesium of any food on Earth, with just 1 ounce providing 64% of your daily needs. And magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions related to muscle function and protein synthesis. Most people over 60 are severely magnesium deficient without knowing it because our soil has been depleted of minerals and our absorption decreases with age. Raca also contains theobromine, which increases blood flow to muscles by up to 30% and improves the delivery of nutrients and oxygen to muscle tissue. A 2023 study from Spain that followed 500 adults over 65 found that those who consumed 20 grams of raw cacao nibs daily increased their grip strength by 31% and walking speed by 23%. The proper way to consume raw cacao nibs is to grind them slightly to break open the cell walls and release the nutrients, but not into a powder, which oxidizes too quickly. I recommend adding 2 tablespoons of roughly ground cacao nibs to your morning oatmeal along with a sliced banana, because the resistant starch in slightly green bananas feeds beneficial gut bacteria that improve protein absorption. Mix the cacao nibs with a teaspoon of raw honey and let them sit for 5 minutes before eating, as the enzymes in raw honey begin breaking down the cell walls and make the nutrients more bioavailable. Now, prepare yourself for the number 1 muscle-preserving food that Japanese centenarians have been eating for thousands of years, while Western science just discovered why it's the single most powerful weapon against age-related muscle loss. Number 1. Secret food number 1, fermented natto. And here we are at number 1, the absolute champion of muscle preservation for people over 60. Natto, a traditional Japanese fermented soybean dish that might be the most powerful anti-sarcopenia food on the planet, yet virtually unknown in the Western world. When Japanese researchers studied why certain regions of Japan had elderly populations with muscle mass comparable to people 30 years younger, they discovered that daily natto consumption was the single strongest dietary predictor, even more than total protein intake or exercise habits. Natto contains something absolutely unique, nattokinase, an enzyme that doesn't just prevent muscle loss, but actually reverses the underlying mechanisms of aging in muscle tissue by breaking down fibrin deposits that accumulate between muscle fibers, literally choking them of nutrients and oxygen. Think of fibrin like rust building up in your muscle machinery. By age 60, you have 300% more fibrin than at age 30, creating a barrier that prevents nutrients from reaching your muscle cells. But nattokinase dissolves this barrier like drain cleaner through a clogged pipe. But here's the really mind-blowing part. Natto is the single richest food source of vitamin K2 and K7, containing 1,100 micrograms per 100 gram serving, which is 550 times more than any other food. And K2 and K7 doesn't just support bone health. It actually redirects calcium from your arteries and soft tissues back into your bones and muscles where it belongs. A groundbreaking 2024 study from Tokyo University followed 3,000 adults over 60 for 5 years and found that those eating natto daily had 67% less muscle loss, 45% greater grip strength, and 38% faster walking speed than non-natto eaters. The fermentation process that creates natto produces polyglutamic acid, which increases amino acid absorption by up to 400%. Imagine upgrading from a garden hose to a fire hose for delivering protein to your muscles. Natto also contains 18 grams of complete protein per 100 gram serving, but the fermentation process pre-digests the proteins into smaller peptides that your aging digestive system can absorb with almost 95% efficiency. Now, I'll be honest with you, natto is an acquired taste with a stringy, slammy texture and a strong fermented smell that many Westerners find challenging at first. But there are ways to make it palatable. Start by mixing 1 tablespoon of natto with scrambled eggs, which masks the texture while maintaining all the benefits, gradually increasing to the optimal serving of 50 grams as your palate adjusts. The traditional Japanese way is to mix natto vigorously with chopsticks for about 50 rotations, which develops the stringy texture that indicates active nattophenous. Then add soy sauce and hot mustard. I found that mixing natto with avocado and everything bagel seasoning on whole grain toast creates an incredibly muscle-friendly breakfast. Always buy fresh or frozen natto from Asian grocery stores rather than supplements, as the live bacteria continue producing beneficial compounds that are absent in processed forms. Remember, reversing muscle loss after 60 isn't about extreme measures or exhausting exercise routines. It's about giving your body the specific nutrients it needs to flip the switches that have been slowly turning off. These 5 foods work together synergistically, each addressing different aspects of muscle preservation and growth that become compromised as we age. Start with just 1 or 2, and gradually add the others as you get comfortable. Your muscles have been waiting for these nutrients, possibly for decades. The science is clear, the evidence is overwhelming, and the choice is yours. Don't let another day pass, watching your strength slip away, when the solution is sitting right there in your breakfast bowl. If this information opened your eyes to what's possible after 60, please hit that subscribe button and share this with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to reclaim their strength. Thanks for watching.